everybody, and welcome back to YoHoYoHoBloggersLifeForMe cooking series. And today I thought I would do a new recipe that I actually had from Disney Springs, my past trip. And I'm talking about from Homecoming. It is Art Smith's restaurant. You might know him. He used to be Oprah's chef a long time ago. He has a lot of southern restaurants around the United States. He's been on Top Chef Masters. He's really, really talented. I had the chance to go to Homecoming on my last trip in December, and this hummingbird cake that I'm going to be giving you the recipe for and showing you how to make. It is the best dessert I've ever had in my life. It's the best dessert on Disney property in my opinion, and I'm a huge chocolate person, so I was surprised that I love this cake so much. So I'm going to tell you right now what you need to make it. And you'll need 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 cups of chopped ripe bananas, 1 cup of drained crushed pineapple, 1 cup of vegetable oil, 2 large eggs beaten, 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1 cup or 4 ounces of finely chopped pecans. And for your icing, you're going to need 8 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature, half a cup or 1 stick of butter at room temperature, 1 pound of confectioner's sugar, and that's about 4½ cups sifted, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And just give me a second and we can start making this.
Okay, and the first thing you need to do is in your oven, you're going to position your racks in the very center in the bottom third of your oven, and you're going to preheat that to 350 degrees. Then you're going to lightly butter 2 9-inch round cake pans. I just used Pam baking spray, but you can feel free to put some butter on the bottom or just use parchment paper. And as you can see here, I am sifting together the flour, sugar, baking soda, cinnamon, and salt into that bowl right there. And I would highly recommend the Williams-Sonoma sifter that I'm using right here. It's the only one I've ever used that hasn't broken on me. All the ones that I ever see in the store are pieces of crap and they're made really cheap, so I would highly suggest if you bake a lot to invest in a good sifter.
And the next step, it says in another bowl, stir or whisk the bananas, pineapple, oil, eggs, and vanilla until combined, but do not use an electric mixer. And now I'm taking my bananas, pineapple, oil and eggs, and make sure the eggs are beaten before you put them in, and your vanilla. And I'm just going to take a whisk. Remember not to use the electric mixer, just use a regular hand one, and we're just going to mix this. Pour this into the dry mixture until it's all blended and smooth.
Okay, the next step is you're just going to blend together the dry ingredients into the wet, and you're just going to kind of fold it like this. Okay, the next step that we need to do is to fold in your pecans. As you can see, I've already finely crushed. I have a little chopper. I'll put a link down below if you're interested in something like that. And I just kind of folded it in the mixture in batches.
Okay, I have my two cakes separated right here, and I'm going to throw them in the oven for 30-35 minutes. I'll check on it constantly just to be sure. Depending on your oven, it might take more or less time. I have a double oven, so I have a smaller oven than most people, so mine might cook a little bit quicker. I'll be right back. Okay, I just took the cakes out of the oven. I poked a fork in two places just to make sure they're done. I checked them at 30 minutes and they were still not done yet, so it took 35 minutes for pans like these for me. And while these cool, I'll show you how to make the icing. Be back in 1 second. For the icing, you're going to need 8 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature, a half a cup, aka 1 stick of butter at room temperature, 1 pound of confectioner sugar, but this needs to be about 4.5 cups sifted, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And while your cake is cooling, we are going to make the icing, and we're going to use an electric mixer for this. And the first thing we're going to do is on high speed beat the cream cheese and butter in a large bowl until combined, and I already cut it all up as you can see in my bowl here. And I'm just kind of gradually adding the sugar in batches and with the vanilla and everything until it's done. It will take like 5 to 8 minutes, I'm guessing.
Okay, the first thing you need to do is take one of the cakes and place it upside down, and then you're going to spread 2/3 cup of icing on top, but I found that wasn't enough icing. I would suggest at least 5 or 6 tablespoons more. My house was kind of warm and my cake was kind of sliding everywhere because it wasn't enough icing to hold it together, although my house was warm. And then you're going to take the next layer and place that face side up, and you're just going to spread the rest of the icing all over your cake, making sure to fill in every single spot that you can. And as you can see, I am using a small little spatula there, and that is actually a cupcake spatula. You can get them at Michael's stores, Amazon sells them, you can get them everywhere. And if you make cakes all the time, I would suggest getting a cake spinner. It's just basically a stand that spins kind of like a Lazy Susan, and it's just easier when you ice a lot of cakes. I don't usually make a lot of 2-layer cakes during the year, so I'm just fine using my cake stand right here. And just a tip, after I finished this recipe and I tried it, I thought it was a little dry, and after I put it in the fridge for an hour, or actually overnight, and I took it to work the next day, there was a lot of moisture that got into the cake and it made it taste a lot better, and it wasn't really dry anymore, and it was a really amazing cake. So definitely don't serve it right away, make it beforehand, and definitely put that in the refrigerator.
And I'm just gonna cut a piece. And this is what it looks like right here. And that looks so good. Ah, that's like falling because it's so warm in my house. So I'll definitely have to put this in the fridge. And it's like falling. I could probably have used more frosting in the middle, but I followed the recipe exactly. But the icing already tastes really good. I got my fork and my piece of cake. This looks so freaking good. And here's what it looks like right here. This is just as good as in the restaurant. Mine might be a slightly drier. Theirs is more moist. So I would definitely put it in less, maybe a minute less next time. But it is really, really good. If you have a barbecue or something, it's really simple to make. It's just time consuming with letting it cool off and mixing everything by hand, but I would definitely recommend this recipe for anybody. And if you don't want to make the 2-layer cake, you can always make it into a 1-layer if you're not as advanced and that kind of thing, or not comfortable doing that. But please let me know if you like this recipe and post pictures if you like it. And all my social media is down below. Thanks, or subscribe. Bye.